Welcome to The Positive Side. I'm Amanda Santos, your host. Always great to be here. I have a wonderful guest today. I have Caitlyn D'adamo. She's the Assistant Director for GenerationLife, promoting pro-life message and chastity to young people. So Caitlyn, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for
Positive
having me.
Side.
I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So it's such a message that's needed today
Yes.
to our young people. I know that GenerationLife is located in the greater Philadelphia area,
Yes.
and a little bit beyond too, that you
Yes.
that you reach out to. So I was wondering if you could just start us out with your own faith journey. I know you've been on a journey that led you into this ministry.
Right, yeah. It's not every day that you wake up wanting to be a pro-life and chastity speaker. So some people do. So a little bit about myself. I grew up in a very devout Catholic family, and I have an older sister, Maria, and she's wonderful, and my parents are amazing. And it's just your very typical young adult reversion story, in that I noticed myself when I was in college. I started to slowly just fall into the trap of that, and the culture was really loud and the media was really loud, and so my faith really just took a back burner, and it really wasn't that important to me anymore. And so I came to this point in my life. I had graduated college, and I remember there was just this time in my life where, and maybe you've experienced this, and maybe some of your viewers have experienced this, where everything in your life just starts going wrong. And so everything, every aspect just started collapsing. And so I turned to my mom, and she was like, well, you really just need to surrender this to God. And I thought, well, I'm not going to do that. And she's like, oh, well, how are you doing? How are you making out on your own, Caitlyn? And I'm like, oh, moms, they're always right. So I started saying this novena, the surrender novena every day. And it's not like things miraculously changed in 9 days, but I just noticed that after saying this prayer for 9 days and then continuously saying it, just amazing, miraculous things started taking place, and things just got better in every facet of my life, professionally, personally, everything started to get better for me. And so I was going to daily mass and stopping in the chapel. I was working in the city at the time, so I would pop into the chapel and start going to mass. And so then I started becoming on fire with the faith, and I thought, I really want to do this full time. I want to work for the church, so to speak, full time. And so that's the abbreviated version.
No, it's good, and it's good for our viewers to know. I know that when I made this announcement on social media that you'd be joining me on the positive side, quite a few people were really interested in watching. So some of the viewers that are watching us right now are probably people who know you well. Yeah. And that's right. Hi. And I just want to give her website information, because if you don't know about GenerationLife, you want to check out www.generationlife.org. You have a wonderful website.
Yes.
And do such great work bringing that message of the pro-life message and chastity to young people. I know one of the big parts of what you do is reaching out to middle school and high school age children. Can you explain exactly what that ministry is like?
Yeah, sure.
What you do?
So basically our message is really just to end abortion at its root cause. And so that was pretty much how GenLife was founded, was that people were praying in front of the clinics, and they thought well, it's too late. These mothers and fathers are already walking into the clinic, so what can we do ahead of time? So we are really on the preventative side of this, and so we promote the virtue of chastity and the pro-life message in the classroom. And so what we typically do is that we have speakers, so it will be myself or Glenna or Mary, and we go in and we speak to the girls on the virtue of chastity, and then we have Joe, who's wonderful. He's our lead male chastity speaker, and he speaks to the guys on the virtue of chastity and the pro-life message. And we just have a really good time with it, because we share this message, and it's not saccharine and sweet. It's not just be like us because we've got it all figured out. They can't relate to that.
It's very human.
It's very human.
And I think they need to hear that, because we live in this age of young people thinking that you need this so-called perfect life, which really doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So
it's been a joy, and I can't say enough good things about GenLife and the students that we speak to. I just love the students.
Thank you for sharing. And it's just to give you something right from the website, it says we're a dynamic movement of young people committed to building a culture of life by spreading the pro-life and chastity messages to other young people.
Yes.
And I know that there's so many aspects of that. So maybe you could just tell us about some of those different facets of what you do.
So one of the biggest things that we do is we pray and counsel out front of abortion clinics every week. And I remember there was, not too long ago actually, Mary and I were praying in front of a clinic in Center City, and this girl walked out and she came over to us and she said, and one of the escorts was trying to dissuade her from coming over to us, and so she came over and said, I heard you were a protester, but I would really like to hear your side of it. And so we ended up talking, and here this young woman opened up to us saying how she had an abortion in December and she might be pregnant again, and so she was contemplating it again. And I said, well, do you know that you have other options? And so basically she started crying, and so basically I said, do you want to go and just have a cup of coffee and talk about this?
Did you?
Yeah. And she was like, yeah, I would love that. So me, Mary, and this woman, we went over to the coffee shop. We had coffee. We just talked about her experience, and then we said, you know, there's a women's center, the Center City Women's Center, and they can offer you free counseling and free testing, and they will support you in your pregnancy and after your pregnancy. And she was like, I had no idea. So then we walked over to the Women's Center. Yeah. So that's just one amazing aspect of it, and I'm still in touch with her, and so just to see the beauty of that, because nobody wants to pray in front of a clinic. It's uncomfortable, but it's so necessary.
But it's needed.
It's so good. It's needed.
That's right.
And so then that's what we do, and then the crux of our work is going into the classroom. And one thing that we speak to the guys and the girls, and I love speaking to both because high schoolers are hilarious, and they're so funny. And I remember speaking to high school girls at Hallahan School, at Catholic High School in the city. And I had these girls come up to me afterwards, and they said, you know what, Caitlyn, that's great, and we're on board. And they said to me, and they got really serious, and they said, but you don't know what we've done. And like, if you knew what we've done, like, this wouldn't apply to us. And of course, that's certainly not true. No. And I realized that in my time with Gen Life is that there's this idea that like we can never start over. And I'm like, we can always start over. So we drive that home a lot because we always hear that from the students, like, well, it's too late for me. And it's like, it's never too late for any of us.
How excellent.
Yeah.
I appreciate the great work you're doing.
Thank
I know
you.
that everybody else does too that's watching. Began in 2000, right? In southeastern PA. You began private outreach to public, private, and parochial schools. And you have invited over 100,000 young people throughout the tri-state area. I'm referring to Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware.
Yes.
To embrace the message of chastity and pro-life.
Yes.
So, I mean, speak more about that. It's just such a, if you think about it, 100,000, even if you didn't get to speak to 100,000, just reaching that message, bringing that message to all those people. And you're continuing to for how many years? Almost 20 years,
Almost
correct?
20 years. So it's really exciting because Gen Life is coming up on their 20th anniversary. So I'm super excited to be part of this. And which is really, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to join Gen Life, is because they spoke to me when I was in high school at St. Hubert's. And so now I'm on the other end of this. And I'm like, this is so cool, I love this. And it really is pretty remarkable because I remember, I keep in touch with the students that I speak to, and sometimes we receive letters or notes or messages on our social media. And we had one girl reach out to us, and we spoke to her when she was a freshman, and she just graduated as a senior. And she said, I just wanted to let you know that thanks to your work and your message, I decided that I wanted to do missionary work for a year after I graduate. And
what a gift. I'll say.
That's amazing. So it's been pretty remarkable, because sometimes you go in and you're speaking to teenagers, and teenagers are teenagers, and you wonder, like, am I making a difference? Are they listening? But they are. And even the guys too, they will come up, they'll shake our hand, they'll shake Joe's hand. And it's, we're speaking to, like, we're not saying that living a chaste life is easy. No one's saying that, but we're saying that it's worth it. And that these young teenagers, these young men and women do not get enough credit. And it's like, men are called to the challenge of masculinity. Like there's this beautiful gift in femininity and masculinity in the coming together. And it's really just, I tell the girls, I'm like, girls, this is just getting back to the basics.
Educating them on the gift from God, directly from God.
Yes.
So you're doing wonderful work. And I know that when I found out about you, it was way back, 19 years ago or so. And of course I wasn't a teenager then, but it did make an impact on my own life. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, same here. I'm still trying to figure out who spoke to me when I was in Gen Life. I'm like, who was it? Because you talk about Gen Life and everybody's like connected somehow. So
good organization.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's good people. Yeah.
I know you're doing wonderful work. I wanted to just mention some of the other areas. So education programs, church talks, and prayer vigils. South Jersey Beach Retreat, or Beach Outreach, and Theology the Body. So maybe we could just start out with just a little bit more about those education programs and what you do there.
So our biggest impact is in the classroom, obviously, 7 through 12, and which is wonderful. And then we have what's called our mission trip, and that's beach outreach. And so it got started that there's senior week, which maybe some people know about. I know I was on senior week when I was in high school. And so basically high school seniors from the Philadelphia area and beyond, typically they rent a shore house and they stay down there for senior week and then maybe the remainder of the summer. And so Gen Life meets them there. And so we have a team of hosts and missionaries, and we go and they might be there on the beach, on the boardwalk, whatever it is, and we go in teams of like 2 and 3, and we go and bring the messages of life and love to them, of chastity, and offer them this alternative lifestyle, which sounds frightening at first when you tell people. They're like, yeah, we're going to talk about teenagers about chastity, like when they're tanning on the beach, but really it's fun, and it is alarming. It can be like, whew, okay, here we go. But you just can't really think about it. You just have to do it.
That's right. You're doing God's will. We do have to take a break, so we'll be back in just a few minutes on The Positive Side.
Shelter dogs aren't broken. They've simply experienced more life. If they were human, we would call them wise. They would be the ones with tales to tell and stories to write. The ones dealt a bad hand who responded with courage. Do not pity a shelter dog. Adopt one.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because it's our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks, when others take the easy way, we take charge.
Add us on social media to watch bloopers, behind-the-scenes footage, previews, and more.
I work 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. So when I'm off the clock, I gotta get stuff done. So when I need a snack, I need something healthy, tasty, and easy to eat. Like wonderful pistachios without the shells. They're protein-powered, delicious, and great on the go. And that's perfect for me. Thanks, Liz. A woman without a lot of time.
Whether you're
Hi, welcome back again to The Positive Side on RVNTV. I'm Amanda Santos. And as I said before the break, I have Caitlyn D'adamo. She's the Assistant Director of Generation Life in the greater Philadelphia area, promoting the pro-life message and chastity. It's such a needed message for young people. Yes. I know that generally speaking, they are reaching out to middle school, high school age, sometimes a little bit older than that and into adulthood. Yes. So you're doing wonderful work. Take out your phone and look up generationlife.org. You have to check that website. It's really great. And they're also on social media at Generation Life. So welcome back again, Caitlyn. And right before the break, we were talking about the fact that they do beach outreach in South Jersey area, I believe, right?
Yes, Wildwood.
Okay.
Essentially.
And they're making outreach to people who are taking that sort of senior week right after the graduation of high school.
Yes.
They get a house sometimes down at the beach.
Yes.
And people from Generation Life are also there and, you know, giving some of the messages of pro-life and chastity. So I wondered if you could expand a little bit more on that.
Yeah, so essentially we go out into teams, like I was saying, and we had so many different encounters. And honestly, what we've noticed is that it's always the people that surprise you. Like I remember one time I was outreaching with someone, and actually just this past summer, this past June, I was outreaching with someone who is discerning, who will be entering with the Franciscan friars come September. So it was really, really neat to see, to go up to these people thinking like this message of chastity, like it can seem so like countercultural, and it is, and then it's like, wow, you have two people right in front of you who are living this out, and one person who is going to dedicate his life to this mission. And so anyway, we went out to this group, and it was he and I going up to them, and it just seemed like it was like 3 guys, 3 girls, and they were so into this conversation, and we actually ended up handing out miraculous medals to them. Yeah, we're like, Our lady, offers a lot of protection, and they were like, thank you. They were just so grateful. And so when I hear people say like, teenagers aren't going to listen, or that's just unrealistic, and I think, wow, so little faith that we have in our youth. Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, the culture is loud.
I think you're right. You are right.
Yeah, so it's been positive.
That's right, the positive side. Because chastity is a message for everyone. I mean, some people think it's just for young people, but it's a way of life for all of us.
Yes.
To live, you know, for who God made us to be.
Right.
And not give in to our vices.
Right.
I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, essentially. And protecting your heart, too.
That's right, protecting your heart, your soul. It's so important.
Yeah.
So. Another aspect of what you do is the church talks and prayer vigils. I wondered if you could expand on that.
Sure. So as part of our outreach and evangelization and spreading the word, we offer church talks. And so these are our just very simple talks. They're only a couple of minutes, and where the pastors welcome us into their church, into their parish, and we're able to share this message of life and love with the parishioners if they want to join us. And they have been so fruitful and so successful, and that we've been able to make a lot of amazing connections, scheduling talks, people who want to support our ministry, and that's just been people who want to join us in prayer, praying for our ministry. So they've been really, really helpful, and people can always volunteer with us for that too. We have some coming up in August.
Good.
And what was the other thing you mentioned?
Well, the church talks and prayer vigils.
Oh, the prayer vigils, yes. So we have prayer vigils, and we're at, I said, out front of the clinics every week, and so people are always more than welcome to join us for that. And then we have an upcoming, Pro-Life Union is hosting a pro-life prayer vigil on Saturday, July 27th.
Okay.
So hopefully everybody can join us for that too.
Yes.
And that will be at 77 Apple Tree.
Okay, thanks for sharing
Saturday,
that.
yes.
And the Pro-Life Union of Greater Philadelphia is also a friend of mine, and the foundation that I work for, because I work with the St. Raymond Onatus Foundation as the director, and we're a friend of the Pro-Life Union of Greater Philadelphia. So I wonder if we could talk about something called Theology of the Body. Now, you and I, as people of faith, we've heard of it. We know what it is. It's from St. John Paul II.
Yes.
Wondered if you could share with our viewers who don't know about Theology of the Body a little bit about what that is.
Sure, yeah. Well, when I first learned about it, I thought, what does this even mean? Why does everyone keep talking about TOB? So Theology of the Body really is just this beautiful way that Pope John Paul II shared that the gifts are of our femininity and our masculinity is meant to complement each other, and that this communion is really that we're co-creators, that God has given us this idea to be co-creators is really such a gift. And that's something that we try to explain at a teenager level, of course, because if we're like, we're co-creators, it's a bit much for a 15-year-old. So, but really exemplifying that there is a beauty in the way that God has designed us, and that we are separate, but we are created with equal dignity, and that the differences between men and women are beautiful, and when they come together, it's just this like this beautiful symphony. And so we explain that to, especially
Good
right
word.
now. Yes. In this culture where we're saying like there's no difference. It's like, no, there is a difference, and the differences are good and they're beautiful and they're meant to be there to enhance the gift of our sexuality, of our nature. And so I remember hearing this quote. I think it may have been Jason Ever, because I'm just a big fan. And he said something like, there's so many misconceptions about what the people think the church is imposing. Well, the church has all of these rules, and he's like, no, that's not it. The church regards femininity and masculinity in the communion. It holds it in such high regard, and the culture fails to see its glory. And I just thought that encapsulated everything, because it's like, no, the church is not down on sex. The culture is, and it like fails to see its glory. And so what we do is just really, again, like bring this back down to the basics for teenagers, that like your body is good. You're made for so much more, and keep your standards high and hold to that, because God honors those who honor him. And John Paul II does a really good job of tying that in. And so we take that and we bring that down to the high school level.
Yes.
And we explain it, and they receive it really well. Like, wow, I've never thought about this before. Thank you for, thank you, Joe, for explaining that to me. Thank you for challenging me to be a better man. And so it's been really beautiful to see how that is reflected in the classroom.
Caitlyn, you did a wonderful job describing that. I would encourage my viewers to check out Theology the Body. Just Google it and learn more. We do have to end. I can't believe it. I always say that. It goes so quickly. Could you just give our viewers your contact information? And I would invite you to come back again on the Positive Side. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. So you can stay in touch with us at generationlife.org. If you're on Instagram, it's generation_life. You can follow us. If you feel called to donate or to schedule, we just encourage you to go to our website and check us out. And we're coming up on our 20th anniversary, so stay tuned for that.
Caitlyn, thank you for joining me on the Positive Side on RVNTV. I'm Ann DeSantis with Caitlyn D'adamo. See you next time.